somebody what you do. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to do another exciting episode on Team Yeeeet's YouTube channel featuring this wonderful game called Another Fisherman's Tale. Now this is a follow-up to the original A Fisherman's Tale, and both games are puzzle games where you're this pirate, sailor, captain guy, and your hands can shoot out of your arms and your head can come off. It's like you're a dummy character and you have to do puzzles with your body parts, and it's quite fun. Now this game is a giant tale. It's a bunch of mini stories, and then it all comes together to talk about one long tale that a fisherman is telling his granddaughter. Now I like this. You don't have to play the first one to understand this one. It picks up quite nicely and has its own storyline. So let's get right into it. So you start off on this deserted island with this crab character, and you have to do just some basic things. So you get familiar with your hands. You find all these little pieces of wood, and throughout this video I'm going to be going through the entire game basically, but I'm going to be speeding through it. Just giving some overall talking points and maybe some challenges that I had throughout this game. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Alright, so like I mentioned, you have to find all these little pieces of wood, and as you can see, they're not too hidden, they're quite in the open, and once you collect them all, this bridge will fall down, and then you'll realize your first challenge, which is finding this little cracked window that unlocks a door to where you can get the pirate hand. Now that one actually took me quite a little bit of time to find, as this is the first time playing this game. I wasn't sure what to look for. That pirate hand gives you the ability to use it as a grappling hook. It will pull you to these little levers that you see throughout the map that are scattered throughout it. But they're essential, and each one is critical. They're not just placed there for you to move around and explore the map, they're there on purpose. So this game kind of guides you to where you're supposed to go. You can't really get lost. The only hard part is actually finding the beginning stages of all these little puzzles. So right here, after you get past that island part, they capture you, you get put in a cage basically, and then you have one hand and you have to figure out which lever to go to first. So the sequencing in which you resolve these puzzles is going to be essential for you to complete them. And also having a different point of view in every puzzle gives you a better oversight, or maybe even an advantage, if you will. Just looking around, I mean, identifying how big the map is, identifying what are all the little things that you may be able to interact with, identifying those early on will greatly help you complete these puzzles. So like this one, for example, there's not a whole lot going on, but there is this little window here. Well, you can't fit through the window, so you got to shoot your head through the window and take a look around. And here we are. This game is like that every bit of the way, all the way through it. You have to just get different views, different angles of each puzzle in order to complete it, which is quite a nice twist on most of the puzzle games that I've played up until this point on the Oculus. This game, it does not give you any wiggle room for exploring the world around you. It is simply the world is there for you to do the puzzle. You can't roam off map, you can't interact with every little thing in this game. You can only interact with the things that it wants you to interact with. And there may be some bottles or some other things, but once you pick it up, you realize that this is not something that I should be playing with to complete this puzzle. Like this pillow, for example, it was brightly colored and it looked like it needed to be moved, so there was a key underneath it. Right, very simple. This part right here, this one was actually quite challenging for me. Finding the two hands, I would say this probably took me the longest time in this whole game to figure out which two hands were needed to complete this challenge. There is a little radio that can give you some hints, but there's about maybe 10 hands you need to sort through and figure out which one is which. If you go back, play that video over again, you can help yourself cheat a little bit, so you're not stuck there for 45 minutes trying to figure out which hands to play. Alright, now this part is quite cool. I liked having a hand that actually allows you to control a robotic crane. Now that was very cool. Now there is a lot of things in this map, however, it only guides you to do the puzzle. It seems like you can go down and mess with things, but you really can't. Which made things easier, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to figure this one out? But it was actually quite simple. This one right here is when your submarine is stranded at the bottom of the ocean, you dive down to go and try and retrieve it, and you realize, oh my gosh, all the parts are broken. I need to try and repair this thing. So you go exploring for all little parts, and then you come across your first friendly NPC character, where he trades you his legs for his sea legs, which is actually his tail fin. Not sure what he's going to do with those legs, swimming under the ocean for the rest of his life, but you do end up switching it back off somehow. I don't know how he gets his tail back, but he ends up getting it. So what happens once you get that fishtail is that you can now swim around in this open ocean, which is quite nice. It's like the first freeing experience in this game where you can roam a little bit, but it's confined within this little area underneath the ocean, this little cove, if you will. But it only gives you sea legs, so you can go up and down and get to all the little parts. Now, I will say the sequence in which you find these things is important. There is a key, and you just saw it on the screen there. Do not turn that key to the very end, because I made the mistake of turning it too early, and then the submarine would not start. And I had to restart the game, go find all the parts again, and that was a little bit frustrating for me. I didn't like that too much, but lesson learned. Sequencing is quite important in this game. Now this next part, you're in the submarine and you have to try and move these barrels of explosives out of the way so your submarine doesn't blow up. Eventually it does anyways, because it's just impossible to get all those out of your way. So it makes it feel like you're supposed to be getting these things out of the way, but reality is you're supposed to blow up and then move on to the next part of the game. See right here? It just blew up and it says, farewell, my friend. Now, I do want to highlight one part about this game that is quite entertaining. Are these little cutscenes where it's a story and a movie combined, and you're also like you're living inside of it. Gives you like these surrounding video, like a 3D environment, and it has this lady and you and other things just happening, and it's quite nice. You can sit down and play this game, which I would also recommend, because it does take some time to complete, but sitting down watching it's just as much of a story as it is a game, which is a nice twist to the common puzzle games that you would regularly play. Now it always takes you back to this little basement where you have to put together these little puzzles, and then once you complete the little puzzles, it takes you on to the next piece. Now, if you saw what I just did there, I threw this little egg that was split in half over the ocean. Don't do that. You need that egg. It's going to keep respawning. You can't ever get rid of it. It's part of the main storyline, but it's quite funny to just toss it away at every chance you get, just to see what happens. At this part right here, you can use your hand to push down on these rocks that will fall off. This part is not too challenging. It didn't take me too long to figure it out. Yeah, just use your hands and push down on those rocks and they fall off. And then you go into this sequence where you're like in a haze, or you're drunk, or on some sort of substance, which is quite funny, and all this stuff moves. And it's really cool, actually, which you'll see in just a moment here. You'll have like giant people that you actually end up controlling. To get to it, you got to do this little fishing scene where you just need to capture all the fish. It's not really a puzzle. There's like a song that's going on in the background, and as you catch him, he'll sing more of the song, and then a giant tidal wave comes and destroys your ship. Then you got to climb out of there and get all the way up to the lighthouse, and once you get in that lighthouse, the trip begins to get really wild. There we go, waving at our giant character. You control the hand, what the guy's doing, by moving your hands up and down, left and right, and then the movable platforms. I didn't really record the full scene here because I have that thing turned on where it gets like tunnel vision when you move, so it doesn't make you sick. You actually might want to turn that off during this part of the game, because you're basically going to play it through tunnel vision the entire time. And once you get past that, you'll have to get on a boat, you steer it, and you also have a couple more giant characters, and you use them to knock over some obstacles. It's quite fun. Alright guys, I'm going to take a moment to thank everybody for watching it this far. take a moment, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe button. The more viewers, the more interaction, more engagement that we get, the stronger our YouTube channel becomes and helps support what we're doing, which is ultimately entertaining our viewers. It doesn't hurt. Take a moment, hit that like, hit that subscribe. All you're doing is helping us. And thanks again for watching, and I hope you tune in to watch much more as we post a video every single day. Alright, let's get back into it. So, once you get through this little area, you'll see the Kraken's arm start to appear, and you'll get to the very end where you'll see your dad, and it does this little scene where he says he's proud of you and things like that. And then you'll come back to the Kraken egg, and what I do is I just chuck that Kraken egg right off to the side because I don't want it anymore. Just kidding, we're gonna need to get that back. Lady, please give it back to us right now. Alright, once you're done with that little scene, you'll realize that there's been a shipwreck because the Kraken has just destroyed that lady who's been chasing you, destroyed her ship completely. Then you have to end up saving her, and then you'll get to this little puzzle. So once you get to this puzzle, you're going to need to use your head and both your hands to complete it. And once again, that sequencing is really important. Shoot both your hands in there, then shoot your head down, take a look at everything, and you're going to have to use one hand, then move the other, and then the one that's moving, you need to do the next part, switch hands. You got to keep switching back and forth all the way until you get to that one hand that allows you to operate the crane. And then you'll have the crane, once again, I love this thing, and you have to use it to push some spikes into the Kraken's hand to release you and that lady, and then for some reason, you gotta jump right into its mouth. I didn't want to do it, I was shaking my head no the whole time, but it makes you do it. But down below is actually quite cool. I like this part of the game. It was very colorful, very artistic way that they did these things, imagining what's inside a Kraken's stomach and then adding some puzzles to it. It's quite cool. Now, you're going to need that grappling hook. It's essential to get past these parts. Don't worry, every part in this game, it gives you the essential items needed. You'll never have to backtrack and go search for other things. If you need a grappling hook hand, it gives you a grappling hook hand. In this case, you're going to need both, and make sure you get both before dropping down. Alright, moving on to the next part, you have to put these pirate guys, which were your enemies previously, but now you're helping them out, putting them back together. You got to put together 3 guys. The parts are just scattered everywhere. They're up, they're down, they're behind a little cage. If you need help with this part, just come back to this part of the video, watch it. I'll show you where every little piece is. That way it makes things a little bit easier for you. I'm not trying to say that this part is challenging, but it does take quite a lot of time as the pieces are scattered everywhere. You have to get the hands, the legs, the heads, all the pieces, and they don't actually end up helping you at all. It's just part of the game, helping a fellow shipmate that has been wrecked by a Kraken, and then you jump out of there and move on to the next part of the puzzle. So these conveyors, you do need one hand on the conveyor the whole time, and the other hand you'll have to use to move these levers and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Whichever hand you're more comfortable with, pushing levers, pulling things, use that other hand to hold on to that conveyor. Now we move on to this part where you're inside the Kraken's head, and it's not challenging again, but you do get to operate its eyeballs, which is quite funny a little bit. Do the right one first in order to do the left one, and then you get that little fish legs again, which I don't know how he got it in the first place, but you end up getting it and then flying into his heart to collect the other Kraken egg. Once you do that, you connect the egg, and then you see this little baby, which is actually your granddaughter, and that's the person that you're playing whenever you go into the basement. And here we are, you can see there's a granddaughter grown up, and basically that's it. You just completed the game. There's a little bit more puzzle. You have to go to the lighthouse and build that little model lighthouse, and then you have a little end cut scene where you fly off into the sunset, going on another adventure, which leads me to believe there's going to be another Fisherman's Tale. I don't know if that's really going to be the name of it, but who knows, they might. That would be a funny game name. But anyways, you build that model, it lights up this thing on the wall, and then you go down this elevator shaft, which brings you to this cave where you get your new boat. And it has some wings and a propeller on it so you can fly it. It's a boat and a plane, a boat plane. Turn that key, and then it will send you off into the credits. But that's it. I would definitely give this game my recommendation and 2 thumbs up. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed playing it and talking about it. I'll see you on the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.